You finished off the meeting this afternoon with some very encouraging words about inshore fisheries in Scotland. It really is quite important to the country.
It is really important, and one of the great benefits, I think, of some of the research we're doing is that we'll be able to establish the data which demonstrates to the rest of Scotland exactly how important inshore fisheries is.
And that research is not just scientific research. We heard an awful lot about socioeconomics, which again was a point you picked up.
Absolutely. The socio-economic impact of what we do in inshore fishing goes well beyond just the fishing industry itself, but to all of the infrastructure around that. And actually, it's important for brand Scotland, if you like. A lot of what people think about Scotland is based on what they see and understand around the inshore fishing industry. So it's got a widespread impact on the economy of Scotland and people across the country.
And the feedback from the audience did seem to be, again, equally encouraging. There was one point that was slightly worrying, and that was this idea of continuing the fishery, not just sustainability in the scientific side of it, but sustainability and about bringing that next generation of fishermen in.
Yes, and that is important. I think our aim is to try and make sure that we can maximise the economic impact of inshore fisheries while at the same time protecting the environment. There are always going to be some tensions in between those, but in fact in the long run they're absolutely aligned. We need to get the environment right in order to make sure that we can encourage the growth of our fisheries industry, and also make sure that we can therefore make it an enticing enough industry that future generations will actually want to get involved in it, because that really is fundamental to making sure that we have a healthy inshore fishing community around the whole coast of Scotland.
Is that something Marine Scotland would get involved in, that sort of encouragement?
I think it's absolutely what we would like to get involved in. I think all aspects of marine, both in terms of the environment and the economy, but also the socio-economic impact, is absolutely central to what we do. The Scottish Government is really behind establishing a growth in the industry, making sure that the environment is protected at the same time. But if we can get those two things to work in sync, then it's a win for the whole country. So that's exactly what Marine Scotland.
I know you're relatively new in post, so probably an unfair question, but I mean, do you have any feeling as to how you might encourage that? I mean, there's been this gradual decline over the years. Fishing, it's dangerous. You're out in all these terrible weather. It's not the most attractive industry for people. I mean, how do you go about changing that perception?
No, it may not be attractive to people outside the industry, but those who actually work in it love it, and it's quite important that we therefore try and support it. I think we can't change the fundamentals, but we can make sure that the environment in which people are working, and that there is a recognition of the importance of it. I think it's quite beyond the socio-economic impact. It is a vital part of Scotland's heritage, and it's a vital part of Scotland going forward. So if people at least know that their contribution to that is recognised, not just by the people next door to them, but by the whole of Scotland, I would like to think it would just raise the profile of the industry, raise its importance in people's mind, and people would at least recognise that it's not only difficult and hard, but it's technically very advanced as well. I think that's one of the things that comes out of the project we were hearing about today, is that we're talking about cutting edge science as well as hard work, and really Scotland has a possibility of being right at the forefront of this in the world. So that's got to be a good environment to encourage people into the industry.
I was going to say, this whole SIFIDS project, and the one that the previous project as well, does seem to have put Scotland right at the forefront.
Yes, I think it is, and I think that we're recognised internationally in that way. That, I think, is great for the industry, great for our science community as well. It's got all of this we can get into a sort of virtuous cycle whereby the science and the fishing industry are working together, bringing in the environmental interests as well, so that everyone's actually going towards a common goal, and not perhaps at the moment sometimes it feels like we're going in pulling in different directions. I think from a Marine Scotland viewpoint, what we want to do is make sure that everyone knows we're pointing in the same direction. The
enthusiasm comes out in your voice. Do you see a positive future for fisheries in Scotland?
Absolutely. I mean, I think this is. I took this job because I thought it was probably the most exciting job I could possibly apply for, because the potential of what we have around Scotland is huge. There is so much good work already going on. I think one of my jobs is to make sure that people understand how much good work is going on within the industry, within the science, within Marine Scotland as well, I have to say, to make this actually a world leader and something we should all be proud of across Scotland.